Good night to everybody. It's a pleasure to be on tonight. We are again here for our next True Talk, and we are really grateful to God for what He has done for us throughout the week. It's the starting of the Sabbath, and for most of us, it's just a rest night. But tonight we are having yet again a discussion, a beautiful discussion, whereby we will have the services of some, well, I must say tonight we have the best of the best. Thank God for the services of all of the directors and those leaders who have so humbly accepted the invitation, and they're here tonight to enlighten us, to bless us, so that we all could be on the same page when it comes to our youth and to when it comes to our youth and our church in a whole. Tonight our topic is investing in the future, and we're looking at the future of the church. Invest in the future, and this is part 2. Last week we had part 1, whereby we spoke with the youths of Dominica, and we, especially this district, the City South District, and we were very enlightened and also impressed to continue this program and to extend it a little farther than just Dominica, but extend it a little farther to the other reaches, to the outer reaches of the Caribbean. So we're very thankful that we have this chance tonight, and as we join together, I ask that the Holy Spirit will be with us as we enjoy this program tonight. Would you bow your heads with me as we pray? Heavenly Father, thank you so much for your goodness towards us. Thank you for loving us and for keeping us, even in this time of COVID-19. We know, O God, that your goodness is always with us. And as we, O God, venture into this program tonight, we ask, Lord, that your Holy Spirit will be with each one of us, and that those who are listening will be blessed as well. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen and amen. So at this time, we will be having song service, just a few songs we'll be singing together. I think Sister Henrietta, you will be helping us? No? Oh yes, we have our song service people here. Sister Badwell, thank you so much. God bless you. They say you're in the nick of time. Thank God for that. So yes, it's all over to you as we listen and worship this Sabbath evening.
Hi, good evening and happy Sabbath to everyone. I hope everybody had a good week. And we're just going to lift our voices in a few songs of praise to God. We'll begin with song number 10 from the Youth Sing. Do not wait until some deed of greatness you may do. Do not wait to shed your light afar.
Why? No, man, I want to move again.
Do not wait until some deed of greatness you may do. Do not wait to shed your light afar. To the many duties ever near you now be true. Brighten the corner where you are. Brighten the corner where you are. Brighten the corner where you are. Someone far from harbor you may guide across the bar. Brighten the corner where you are. Just above the clouded skies. Just above the clouded skies that you may help to dwell. Let not narrow self your way bar. Though into one heart alone may fall your song of cheer. Brighten the corner where you are. Brighten the corner. Shine for Jesus where you are. Brighten may surely find a near. Reflect the bright and morning star. Even from your humble hand, the bread of life may be. Brighten the corner where you are. Brighten the corner where Jesus where you are. Brighten the corner where you are. Someone far from harbor you may guide across the bar. Brighten the corner where you are. Number 11. Do we live so close to the Lord today, passing to and fro on life's busy way, that the worldliness can a likeness see to the man of Calvary? Do we live so close to the Lord today, passing to and fro on life's busy way, that the worldliness can a likeness see to the man of Calvary? Can the world see Jesus in me? Can the world see Jesus in you? Does your love to him ring true, and your life and service too? Can the world see Jesus in you and me? Do we love with love to his own king? All his creatures lost in the mire of sin. Do we reach a hand whatsoever it costs to reclaim a sinner lost? Can the world see Jesus in you? Can the world see Jesus in me? Does your love to him ring true, and your life and service too? Can the world see Jesus in you and me? As an open book, they all eyes will read to our words and acts, giving daily heed. Will they be attracted or turned away from the Christ we love today? Can the world see Jesus in you? Can the world see Jesus in me? Does your love for him ring true, and your life and service too? Can the world see Jesus in you and me? Number 32, be our final song. Fill my cup, Lord, I lift it up, Lord. Like the woman at the well, I was seeking for things that could not satisfy. And then I heard my Savior speaking, draw from my well that never shall run dry. So fill my cup, Lord, Lord, I lift it up, Lord. Come and quench this thirsting of my soul. Bread of heaven, feed me till I want no more. Fill my cup, fill it up and make me whole. There are millions in this world who are craving the pleasures the fleeting afford, but none can match the wondrous treasure for that I find in Jesus Christ my Lord. So fill my cup, Lord, I lift it up. Come and quench this thirsting of my soul. Bread of heaven, feed
is the singing of my soul. Bread of heaven, feed me till I want no more. Fill my cup, fill it up, and make me whole.
Thank you for your beautiful singing, even if we couldn't hear you.
Good night again to everybody. I pray and hope all is well tonight. True Talk Live. And for those who are here for the first time, well, Pastor Hall, Pastor Denny, Pastor Brent, you guys know it well, and also Drayson. Tonight, when the title of the program says it all, True Talk. So don't worry about hurting anybody's feelings. You can speak the truth tonight and know that it will go down well, because this program, the young people like when you could be real and speak the truth, and they accept that and they live by that. Tonight with us, before I do any introduction, I just would like to send special greetings to our mothers in the church, our churches, the district across Dominica, our mothers in our families. My mother during Gibson, all of the mothers. I will first of all like to personally say Happy Mother's Day, because we mightn't get to meet again, but I just expressing Happy Mother's Day also to Mommy McLean as well. She is also one of my mothers that has been very integral in my life. So I just like to express that, and Mommy Lando as well. Just expressing Mother's Day greetings, and all my mothers. I just want to express that greetings to you guys today. And also, I would just like to say thank you to the elders and leadership of this district. They have been working very hard. The media team and every individual who have been participating, and all the membership who have been offering services, and also making themselves available in so many ways, joining programs, being part of programs, sharing encouragement prayers. Just like to say thank you to everyone, and I pray that your continued support for this district and the program will continue, and I know for sure that God's blessings will be upon all of us. Tonight, True Talk, as is part 2 of the topic, investing in your future. I want to let you know that for the next 3 programs, the same slogan will be used as investing in yourself, investing in your education, investing in saving, investing about investment across. For the next couple programs, we are talking about investment, even investing in God. How can we do that as young people? Because a lot of times things go by and we don't teach exactly how to invest in our lives across the board, from both financially to spiritually. We don't do that. So, having the opportunity to touch young people in that manner, we are using that opportunity so that they will be blessed. As well, we have the next 2 topics that we will be having very shortly, because next week we will not be on. Next Friday, we have a health program that's happening. And on the 22nd of May, the topic will be investing in your future savings. investing in your future savings. And we were talking about how to plan for your retirement, how to invest in banking system, how to invest in saving money as a family, as married couple, as young people. And also we have investing in your future education. And there we will use all of the tertiary from Jamaica and Trinidad, the tertiary institution, whereby we put on a program where we could teach our young people how to invest in their education and in their future. So that those are upcoming topics. I hope that you get yourself ready and be prepared for that. So right now, this is the opportunity. Share the link, call somebody, let somebody know that we're on as we jump straight into our discussion. Now, I want to introduce to you this panelist of stars. I must say tonight, I'm surrounded by great men and women of the church. Tonight with us, we have Pastor Hall, and I will give each one of you opportunity to say something before we start. We have Pastor Hall with us. He is a pastor and an attorney at law, and he's also the youth and chaplain director of the Caribbean Union. If I don't have all the information, please make sure when you have your few moments to introduce yourself that you do so. We also have with us Pastor Brent St.Jean, and my friend's still trying to catch up with that. The youth director of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Everybody know him. He's a son of the soil, so we don't have to do much introduction for he's a man of Dominica. And also with us, we have also a son of the soil, Pastor Miguel Denny. He's the youth ministry director for the East Caribbean Conference. And we are so thankful to having these gentlemen that they have taken time off to be with us this evening. And also we have with us Brother John from St. Vincent. He is the youth president, he's the national youth president of the Adventist youth leaders. And he's also an attorney at law, and we are so happy to have him as well. And also we have with us Jason Brown, a youth leader, a director in University of Southern Caribbean, a lecturer, and I could keep adding on that list and I will not finish tonight. So he's a very important guy. And also with us, we have Brother Kendall Barry, Elder Kendall Barry. He's a youth leader as well. He's part of the media team. He is an elder in training at the Roseau City, the City Church, Roseau Seventh-day Adventist Church. He's a father, he's a husband. I could keep adding things to that as well. And we know we can't finish. And last but not least, we have Sister Henrietta Matthews. She has been, she's a singster, she's a leader, she's a motivator, and I could keep going on. She's a wife. And also, most importantly, she's the AY leader for the Eggleston Seventh-day Adventist Church, and she has been so integral in our youth development in this district. And I just want to say good night to everybody, and thank you so much. So starting with Pastor Hall, I'll just give you a few moments for you to just say something to introduce yourself, and we will continue the discussion from that point. So Pastor Hall.
Everybody, greetings from Barbados, where we are as much on lockdown as those who are in Trinidad and those who are in Dominica. We praise God for the opportunity to share with you. I want to thank Pastor Shepherd for the initiative of doing his best to get young people within his district and across Dominica together on Friday nights to have a conversation like this. I think it represents for him and his effort, and for the young people, opportunities to talk about things that really should concern all of us and help us to improve, not only in terms of our relationship with God, but in practical ways to be able to live life more fully, in a sensible manner, and in a manner that makes us as successful as possible. So I'm happy to be here tonight. Pastor Shepherd, you said by way of introduction, you hope you got all the information in. Quite frankly, I think you had too much information. And I think everybody full well knows that I'm a Bajan fella who pastor churches sometimes, and I'm here tonight at your service. God bless you, and good night to everybody.
Pastor Denny, go right ahead.
Good evening, everybody. It is so good to be with you tonight. Thank you, Pastor Shepherd, for your kind words of introduction and welcoming me back home. Good to be able to speak to my home church and my extension district. And I hope and pray that our discussion tonight would be enlightening. Again, I want to commend you and Pastor Pending, your district, for hosting such a program like this, because it really, youth ministry boils down to what happens at church. And whenever a church looks at catering for its youth and building them up like this, it speaks volumes. So I commend you, and you have my full endorsement, and I pray that you continue to do the good work that you are doing by God's grace.
Thank you so much, Pastor Brent. It's your turn.
Yeah, greetings, good night, happy Sabbath, everybody. It's good to connect back with home again. I mean, it's such a delight to miss this opportunity. Just want to wish everyone a happy Sabbath. It's a delight to be with you. Greetings from St. Vincent. I mean, and on behalf of all our administrators and so on, we're just delighted to be with you tonight. Pastor Shepherd, thanks for the invitation to be here. And good night to everybody, all my Dominicans looking, even Vincentians who are looking tonight, because I know many of our Vincentian folks knew about the program and they are loved ones. So welcome everybody, and we pray that you'll have a wonderful time tonight. Pastor Hall, it's good to be in your company. I feel very important to be associated next to you tonight. And Pastor Denny, as usual, my colleague, I mean, we're delighted. I mean, you good fellas, we're just delighted. And Henrietta, everybody, Grayson,
yes, sir.
So many familiar faces, and shout out Kendall one time. Yeah, just good, my fellow Botican. Just delighted to see everybody.
Blessing, and thank you so much. That's the spirit. Pastor Brent just bring that spirit of joy and jubilance to in our atmosphere. Also, we have with us Elder Kendall Barry. Go right ahead with your little induction, and then we will have Jason Brown.
Okay. My name is Kendall Barry. Not so much to say. I'm humble man from the village of Dominica. Presently, I'm worshiping at the Roseau SDA Church. As Pastor said, I'm part of the media team. I'm also an elder, assistant AY leader, musician, music coordinator, and anything else anywhere I can assist, I assist. So I'm God's humble servant, and I'm happy to be here this evening.
Elder Jason, go right ahead.
Oh, well, good evening, everybody. Happy Sabbath. It's indeed a glorious moment again when we can come in remembrance of this day and give God the praise and the glory that he rightfully deserves. I count it a joy to be on this panel, and also thank you for the invitation, Pastor Sean. I've never been to Dominica, so I consider this to be the cheapest flight in. And thank God for Corona. I can celebrate with the Dominicans in Dominica tonight. So thank you for the invitation, and I look forward for the discussion.
You're most welcome. And last but not least, Sister Henrietta, we'll save the best for the last. It's your turn to give your introduction.
Hi, good night again. My name is Henrietta Matthew from the Eggleston Seventh-day Adventist Church. I am, as he said, AY leader, also involved in the Pathfinder movement, music coordinator for my church. But my passion is really working with the young persons. That's where my heart really is. So I hope that tonight I will learn something new so I can pass on to the younger ones. Amen.
Blessings. So let's get right down in it. We know that because of the dynamics of Corona and the situation that it placed us in, that our very notion of outreach and especially meeting the youths in particular has changed drastically. I mean, young people on a whole, they loved or still love the devices. But I more now, I'm hearing this saying from the young people, boy, I wish I could go outside. And thank God for Corona, it has now shifted their focus from total involvement in devices to now allowing them to understand that mingling and being on the outside, socializing with persons were very important. And the program that we had last week, the young people gave some grim views. I don't want to use pleasant word, grim views of the treatment they have been receiving as young people. And they were asking us to pay more attention to them, to listen a little more, to give them a chance to lead out, and to also invest in them by teaching, by having like training sessions so that they too can learn to take up the task of the gospel, even in their time and for the future. With that said, I want to first place this question to the youth leaders. And I'm starting with you, Elder Drayson Brown. The question is this: for the youth leader, for your youth leader, you understand young people, and I'm asking, what are the challenges that you have noticed and maybe have faced trying to maintain and also deliver the message to the young people, even at this time of Corona? I want you to say what are the challenges. That question goes for all three, because I'm sure each one of you might have different views, so that the leaders will hear, and then we have questions for them as well. So go right ahead, Brother Jason.
Okay, you know, it's difficult sometimes to be that open batsman, but I'll begin. I think one of the, well, from especially in USC now, I think one of the challenges that we have is that there is a limitation in terms of access to internet. We have a lot of our young persons, even though we are doing everything online, some of them still do not have access to internet because Zoom takes a lot of bandwidth. And sometimes it's difficult to have that connection with them. And you could believe you can actually see what is happening there. If you cannot connect with them, you have no way of reaching them via Zoom. So that's a major challenge. The second challenge is that I realized after speaking to some young people, I think they appreciate us being boring in church more than us being boring over the Zoom medium. And I heard some young people saying that, you know, if I'm going to sit down and I'm going to watch this thing, I need to see creativity, I need to see excitement, something needs to move me, because what really happened is that some people look at the Zoom and they're doing something else at the same time because something is still pulling that interest. So it's very interesting when somebody said to me that the same thing I experience in church is literally the same thing I'm experiencing to the Zoom platform. What is the difference? So I think that was a challenge. So I think this call for us to be creative. I think many times we overlook the fact that now that we are using the internet right now is not considered to be creativity. It's considered to be our only option. So everybody is using the internet. Our creativity will come when we put out what we have to put out to the young people in a kind of a way that can, quote unquote, compete with the other things that they're hearing via the internet. Because everybody right now is trying to put a youth program. Everybody's trying to do a sermon. Everybody's trying to do something for Jesus. You understand? And the thing is that the young people have that type of competition in terms of what will pull my interest. So I think those are the two major challenges that I've basically faced when dealing with connecting with young people via Zoom.
Thank you so much, Jason and Sister Henry. We also have with us, joining us shortly, in a few, he joined us just now. We have Brother John. Brother John, you're on. I will give you, no, I'm not seeing him on as yet.
Yeah,
All right.
He's there.
Yes, he is. Okay.
Yes, I'm here. Happy Sabbath, everyone.
Happy Sabbath, Brother John. How are you doing? I'm giving you the chance to introduce yourself. We had a formal introduction a few moments ago, but they say when it comes from the horse's mouth, it's better than anything else. So go right ahead and introduce yourself, and then we will continue.
Okay. Okay, so my name is Jamali John. I'm from St. Vincent and Grenadines. I'm currently serving in the capacity of the National Youth President for St. Vincent. I am directly under Pastor Brent St.Jean as Youth Director.
Great, great. Thank you so much. All right, so Sister Sister Henrietta, the same question that I asked earlier to Drayson Brown. What are some of the challenges that you are facing with your young people? The same question goes to you.
No, Pastor, my young people are a special bunch. I mean, getting them to, some of them to get them to take part on the Zoom program, it can be kind of challenging because not all of them that want to have their face on the screen, you understand? But besides that, most of them I ask to get involved and do something, you know, they always agree. So I don't really have a problem to say I'm connecting or getting them involved in the whole program. The only thing is that if they're home, I don't know if they continue looking at the program. When they do their part, they ask me if they can come off. So when I do what I have to do, can I come off? I don't want to be there all the time, you know. But I don't really have a big challenge with them per se, because I mean I have a very close relationship with all of them.
All right, thank you. So Elder Kendall, go right ahead. Your turn. Same question.
Yeah, I believe that some of the challenges that we face with the young people, many of them, I would say, they not shy, but kind of scared to be in front the screen, which is always baffling for me, because these are the persons you see taking off all the selfies and all the photos, but yet still to come in from the same, just a different camera, except their own phone, but then they have issues. They scared. Also, one of the other, I would say, challenges are that, especially when it comes to this program, many have concerns or issues that they want to express, but they feel that if they do so openly, they will be judged, they will be pressured or pushed aside, you know, so they feel like, you know, let them just leave it be. So I think these are some of the main challenges that many, some are scared and some feel that if they take the forefront, they might be judged. So I think this is some of the things that is affecting some of the young persons. Also, as Brother Brown said, that the programming, we have to try to ensure that whatever programming that we put off, it is interesting enough to them so that they can, you know, find interest in what's happening in church and will be more drawn to church than to some other programs. So I think that is one of the major challenges that many of us across the board is facing the young persons.
Elder John, I don't know if you fully heard the question. The question was, as a youth leader and you being the president, which you cover a wider area, the whole of St. Vincent and Grenadine, the challenge that you are facing when it comes to delivering the gospel to your young people. We just wanted you to mention what are some of the challenges you are facing. So go right ahead.
Well, I tend to look at the young people in different categories, right? You have some young people who are strong in that they come from very stable backgrounds at home. And so they have that support system at home and they are otherwise always involved anyway. So I don't think this COVID period is affecting them as much because I mean, you know them and you know that they're going to be engaged no matter what. Even if what is online is not the most appealing, they're going to follow, they're going to listen, they're going to find some way to be involved. They are part of the online programs and so on. My concern though is for those young people who don't really have that support system at home. They might be perhaps the only Adventist in their home, and they're not as engaged fully as they would be accustomed to. And so I am worried about them because it's very easy for them to slip through the cracks at this particular time. And so on a regular basis, you have youth programs. So you have camps, you have retreats, you have socials, and you can engage with them in a more direct way. And they have an outlet where you can keep them engaged. Public speaking, we have a whole lot of activities that we get involved in. Beach outings, those sort of things. But when you're limited now to only online and you only have certain young people, being involved in that area because only so many can be involved, then they're not really engaged at all. And so, you wonder how they're doing, how they're getting by. And as a youth leader, whereas at a camp or at a retreat, I could go up to them and, kick off a conversation with them and find out, how things are going and give them a word of encouragement. It's different now because now I have to call them, and I mean, I don't usually call around usually. And even if I do, it's not for any long conversation. So there are a couple of young people who I have called, and I mean, the difference is awkward for me even, really. So I call them and ask them how they're doing, and they might wonder, okay, why is he calling? He doesn't usually call me. What is the reason? And so you're really just trying to show them, look, I'm thinking about you, I'm concerned, and I just want to ensure that you're okay and give you a word of encouragement. And that is really out of the norm. So we don't have the avenues that we have ordinarily to keep young people engaged in the way that you would want to. And it's very easy for some of them at-risk youths to become easily distracted, sidelined, and get caught up in at-risk behavior. And so those are the ones who I'm more concerned about. And of course, we have our challenges too with not being able to do a lot of things that we would ordinarily want to do. And so those are the challenges that stand out to me in particular, because we would never really know the full impact of this COVID until church reopens. And of course, we know we are creatures of habit. And so people have gotten into the habit now of being at home, not going to church. And then when this is all over and done, you have to try to break them out of that new habit. And we might find that attendance drops off, or, those are some of the things that I'm anticipating. And we have to be sure that we stand by them and support them even in this time.
Thank you so much, Elder. And I must share in that concern as well. Noticing that not only our youths, but church members who have grown accustomed, older members who have grown accustomed to being home, and they when church reopens, what will happen? But then Jason raised a very important point for some of the youths to have the ability or the means by which they could be online. That is not happening for some. And even here we are having that same struggle. And with that said now, we are going to our directors. We will start with Pastor Hall. Well, we'll start with Pastor Denny, and then we'll go up the ladder. Pastor Denny and then Pastor Brent. And this is a question. You are hearing the issues. We're having issues with supplying enough internet materials. Some of them don't have access to the services. You hear that we might have a problem with persons going back out. We're having problem with keeping the focus of the young people. As directors, what are some of the plans that you guys have to help us, the leaders, to better reach the youths that we have? And also, what are some of the problems that you guys are facing so that we will better understand that when we cannot receive certain things, that it's not only because you guys have all the money or have all the equipment, but that you guys are also having problems, so that we will understand that. So we want to know the plans, and also we want to know some of the struggles that you guys are having as well as directors. So we start with Pastor Denny, seeing that he's closest to home.
Good evening once again, everybody. You ask a interesting question in this context, because while ordinarily we would have plans and programs in place once persons are outside and once persons are working and we are able to access funds, that we can do retreats, camps, or other events to get our young people out, to get our young people to do stuff. Our challenge is that we're restricted to a lot of online media. And that is a blessing and curse in a sense. One of the things we've tried to do as a conference is to host Friday evening lesson study reviews, which is currently going on, as well as, at least for 5 weeks, we had conference-wide AY programs. What that has done is it has helped bridge the relationship between both islands of Barbados and Dominica. So it's not just a Bajan program or Dominican program. And in doing so, we've also helped persons or given persons ideas as to how they could conduct programs for their youth, not just limited to AY, a regular AY program. I think one of the major challenges now for us as directors is one, since persons are not congregating as churches, there's going to be difficulty in terms of receiving tithe income, which would in turn impact our budgets, which would allow us to do more things. I think one of the other challenges would be, now that a conference or mission is, I don't want to say shut down, but limited in terms of what it can do, in terms of getting persons out there and whatnot. A lot of responsibility now lies on the local membership, the local church leadership, to plan and cater for their youth. And if a local church or if a local AY society has not been giving their utmost to reach its members, its youth, it's going to be difficult for them to try to rope them in when you can't see them face to face. Like one of the panelists, one of the AY leaders was saying, I think it was Henrietta, you can be on Zoom, and when you've done your part, you want to get off camera, you want to go do something else. Or someone else was saying, you can be on Zoom, but doing other things that may distract you. One of the things I've noticed from friends of mine, within and without the conference, you find the habit of church hopping. So you go from conference to conference, church to church. And if there's no stability in terms of your local church or your local conference catering for you, what happens when churches reopen? So for me as a director, that's one of my major, if not my major concerns. Are we doing our best as a church to reach our members, especially our youth, in keeping them? And then what is the impact going to be when we are allowed to go back out? Is church attendance going to diminish? Is it going to blossom? And the list goes on. That's it for me, at least for now.
Thank you so much, Pastor Brent.
Yes,
All right, thank you.
Yeah, good night again, everyone. I believe youth work is very complex, and I've been involved in youth work from a child, from Boutique Church growing up. I've realized a lot has to be done to cater for the young people. In St. Vincent right now, I can speak for St. Vincent. I mean, prior to COVID-19 and the coronavirus and so on, we had a lot of initiatives. We have national public speaking, we have national youth retreats, we have, National Choir Festival, we have, you name it, the programs have been there. Friday Night Live that we started on the first and the third Friday of every month. We went into that before COVID-19 came out. So COVID-19 didn't catch us by surprise as far as So Friday Night Live wasn't a response to COVID-19. It was something that we had in the pipeline before COVID-19. It just happened that because of COVID-19, we went seamlessly into it, and it really impacted. And so we thank God for that. So we do a lot for the young people in terms of Jamal is as our AYMA president, the Administrative Ministry Advisory Council. We have the National Uniform Council that we cater for our young people. I mean, make sure they are trained, our national marching band, and so on. And so what COVID-19 has done, however, it has shown us our limitations as a church, and we say this is true talk, and that's the thing about true talk. When you talk true talk, you have to say true talk, and sometimes when you talk true,
Yes,
it does not sound good.
True talk.
But the reality is, our church, in my opinion, we say a lot about the church being the future, the young people being the future. But I don't believe it is something that is appreciated across the board. If I were to say that, for example, I can speak from my standpoint, and we're talking about challenges. I carry 4 to 5 departments: evangelism, assistant president for evangelism, campus ministries, public chaplaincy, and music, youth director. And for all these departments combined, I have a budget of $10,000. Now, to host a youth program, Jamal is in this chat, so you can is in this call. You can do one of our programs, like Choir Festival. Our budget for Choir Festival alone is almost $10,000. When you look at everything, I mean, for one program in the calendar, it almost runs that. And the challenge we have as a youth department is that you have to cater for the young people, and you have to be able to find innovative ways to find monies, because you will hear another department having a $40,000 budget, certain things. I mean, you'll have another department, several things, but I believe deep down as a church, we always believe our young people will get through. For example, even with the online initiatives that we have now and so on, you will find a lot of emphasis placed on the morning program. Let's make sure we have this organized. Let's make sure we have that organized. Let's make sure everything is in place. But no one would call you as the youth director to find out what is in place for the young people in the afternoon. No, you get it done, but I'm saying the same panic and concern that is raised in the morning is not the same panic and concern that you find in the afternoon, because we somehow as a church, we have made it look like young people stuff is a little more trivial than the main stuff and so on. So I believe that's one of the challenges that we have. We have to change the culture of our church, the whole mentality, the whole mindset of our church, especially with our leaders. We have elders who don't come to AY at all. We have elders who have no idea what youth work is about. I mean, they can tell you everything about stewardship. They can tell you everything about women's ministries and children's ministries and so on. But if you ask them about when was the last time they attended AY, when was the last time they reached out to the young people and so on, they cannot tell you that, because it's for some reason they always say the young people take care of themselves. They sleep in the Sabbath afternoon. I mean, they learn, and I believe that's why they change lay activities to personal ministries, because a lot of people used to sleep in the evening for lay activities. I mean, and so on, and so on, and there is not enough emphasis placed on our young people. So I believe the challenge I'm facing as a youth director is the challenges are: number one, budget money to invest in the young people the way that you want to. Number two, the whole mindset of the church in terms of how we approach things youth. If everyone is on board, it will make it much easier to cater to the needs of our young people. And I believe three, convincing, whenever we try to, and Pastor Hall is here, I guess he can, whenever we try to do something new, people tend to believe that we are competing with the world. So if we do something innovative, people think, oh, we're trying to compete with the world and entertain the young people and so on. But the reality is, it is a competition. I mean, people don't like to hear it, but it is a competition. The whole world, the whole Christianity is a competition, in my opinion, is a war. And where there is a battle, there is competition. It's good against evil. And if we are fighting on the side of good, and we are fighting against the side of evil, we have to compete with the evil side. We have to fight, and we have to compete with programs out there that are taking the attention of our young people. And I believe that is where we need all hands on deck and so on. I believe sometimes we find that missing as a church when it comes to the full engagement of everyone in the church to fight for our young people and to hold hands together for the youth. We fight about many other things, but we'll never lose sleep over AY. If for some reason, I mean, and I want to be really, this is true talk, I'll finish in just now. If for some reason right now, something goes bad in the church, the liturgy of the church goes off and we cannot find people for this, we cannot find people for that, people would go in panic. But right now, our AYs are struggling. I mean, we have youth directors and AY presidents and AY leaders struggling to keep young people into afternoon church. But for some reason, we are not panicking about it. I mean, the youth department is panicking, the youth directors are panicking, and we are trying all kinds of things, but you will never hear a panic in the wider church saying, boy, we need to do something about it. They will say, oh, young people are really concerned again. But that is not the approach we take for everything else. So I believe it's one of our challenges that we have to let the church know that our youth are very important and we need to invest more into them and reach out as far as that is concerned.
Thank you so much, Pastor. And I hope I did not put you in trouble by you being honest and talk and tell the truth. Because Pastor Hall, I'm coming straight to you right now. But I really must support you as well, both Pastor Miguel, Pastor Denny, and Pastor Brent, because the same cry was from the youths that when we had the program. They're saying that AOI budget does be $100, and then you have women's ministry, men's ministry, and all the ministry have thousands of dollars. And why is that? Why is that? So now I'm noticing that if our directors don't get enough too, that's why we don't get enough down the road. So because it's a trickling effect. And something that I need our leaders to hear, and this is it, that any business society or any investment that you make and you don't put your all in it, you can't get out anything in the end. If you know that if you put $5 in something, you're going to get out $5 worth. And the more you invest, is the more you're going to receive in the long run. And if we are saying that the youth is the future and the youth is the present and also the future of the church, and if we are saying that and we're not investing in it, then we are saying that we don't need a future in the church because we're not investing in it. So I mean, the youth's going to die, the church, and what's going to happen to the church? Well, we know that answer. The church will die, but we know that God is in charge. So God will always make a way to make sure that his church survives. Pastor Hall, straight to you. I know I want to hear if we're having the same problem in the union as well. Same question. What are some of the plans you have for, well, you will deal with our directors and also trickle down to our churches. What are some of the plans that you have in place? And what are some of the problems that you are facing so that we won't cast blame? Because, you know, we like to blame, say the director fault. So now the director gonna blame you because you are up there. So we want to make sure that we don't blame you guys wrongfully. So we want to hear what are the plans that you have for us? And also what are some of your challenges that you're having? Go right ahead.
Are you hearing me now? Yeah. This gives me an opportunity
to Pastor, go right ahead.
Speak to the issue of organization and structure, because the reality is that I operate at the union level, and that places me a distance away from young people. What I'm trying to say is the conference directors, the pastors and the youth leaders who are represented on this forum discussing with me are the ones who are in the trenches. The union does not operate any churches, does not have access to any church unless they come into a conference and they get that access through the local pastors. So the role of the union is primarily a supervisory role where you provide training, vision, resource materials for directors who then implement within the context of the districts and the churches within their field. So it is difficult for me to tell you what plan I have for a church in Roseau. I can perhaps tell you what plan I have to empower youth directors for training, for nurture, and so on, giving them insights, giving them vision that then they can translate to others. So that's the first thing I will have to say where I begin. But if I may, before coming back to problems and so on, if I can connect with some of the things that were said before and express my view on those things, that would be important for me. Now, every person is at a different level in their spiritual walk and in their interests within the context of the church. While I am here on this forum speaking to you, I have had a number of young persons texting me, messaging me saying, you know, I peeked into the program tonight and I am finding that the conversation that is happening here is not really what I need at this time. And I'm perceiving that that young person or persons are of a more matured, older type young person. Let me put it that way, because we have young persons and we have young persons, right? And the teenagers are interested in that which entertains them. So if you host a concert or have some drama or discuss some burning issue like sex and sexuality, whether it be struggling with sexuality in terms of orientation, in terms of sexual preference, those types of hot potato things, I think will engage perhaps the younger set of people who like controversy, who like debate, who like to challenge the status quo, and who want to turn everything upside down. All right, so if we are looking to engage the younger ones, it must be entertaining, it must be exciting, it must be dynamic. They are not into a lot of conversation and talk. They are more into the dramatic, that which has flair and panache and so on and so forth. So I would think that youth ministry at that level, teenagers, very young teenagers, has more to do with occupying them and engaging them. And at the upper level where you have young adults and senior youth, they want to discuss, they want to talk. Those are the ones who will more interested in what life has to bring and what life has to offer. Some of our young people are saying, believe it or not, I want to talk about prophecies. I want to talk about the doctrines of the church and what they mean for my life. How do I practically implement these things? I want to talk about what we can do in community, what we can do to serve the interests of the community. I want to go on mission trips. I want to do things to help the society improve and grow and so on. So first of all, what I'm really saying is we have various categories of young persons, and there is no one approach that is going to meet everybody because everybody's interest is different based on age and stage, based on culture, based on country, based on spirituality. So the youth ministries department therefore has to come up with a mix, a callaloo, a bouillon. I don't know what are the right words to meet all the cultures that are here. You got to throw something, everything in the pot and see what different people's tastes would be. Now, having said that, we had issues here now of young people not wanting to come on the forums. It's surprising, some people say it's technology, so they should be excited and interested about that. But my observation as I look around the union is that it's true talk, right? The same boring people that running the church and the young people don't want to be engaged by them are the same boring people that are controlling the technological aspect of the thing. And I don't mean you, Pastor, I don't mean anybody here. What I'm trying to, in order for the young people to be engaged, sad to say, we are not getting it Ellen White said it many years ago, youth rightly trained can have a greater influence over their peers than old men advance in age. And I am coming to understand, Jason, that I'm an old man advanced in age. You know, I didn't know that Ellen White spoke about me until recently when I read that again. She spoke about old people advancing age. And the reality is this, young people engage each other. They like to talk to each other. They like to meet each other, they like to do things with each other. But as soon as you have an older person taking charge of that, their response to that differs. They will engage younger people. So in a sense, we need to steer them and back off a little bit and allow them to lead. Now that, I want to add to that a quandary. Let me tell a little story to make sure that you get the point I'm saying. Sometimes in my family life, I have a wife and 2 children. And over the years, I may hear my family say, maybe we're out driving or something, and they will say, we go to a restaurant or a fast food place or whatever the case may be. And they say to me, I feel like eating something. And what that means is that I now listen to hear what they're going to say they want to eat. But you know, there are people who feel like eating something special. They say they feel like eating something nice, but they cannot tell you what that thing is. We have that problem with our young people. They know that they do not want breadfruits. They know they don't want dasheen, but they don't quite know yet what they want to see on their plate. So it is hard serving a meal to a person who does not really know what they want to eat. They will say to you, give us opportunities. We want to be involved. But when you call on them, they do not step up and respond to that. So I know I'm not helping. What I'm doing is telling you that serving young people is problematic. But it calls for dynamism. It calls for people who are committed. It calls for people who have a measure of excitement and innovation and creativity. And you are right, Jason. We got to get creative with the technology. Otherwise, they're not coming to that either. All right? They're not coming to it because it's the same warm over soup that we're given in regular church that we're now trying. In other words, we're trying to do things with the technology as we normally do them in church, and that's not working. All right. To zero in more on what you wanted me to talk about, at the union level, we have had one major issue, one major program rather. During, you know, we were supposed to have the adventure camporee in Barbados. And what has happened now is that we couldn't have it because people can't travel and so on. So we attempted to do a virtual presentation of that. And to the best of my knowledge, the feedback that has come to me is that the children who were the targets of that, together with their leaders, quite enjoyed it. They found that it was different. They found that it was engaging because it featured young people and their leaders. And it did things that children would be interested in: craft, exercise. And the children sent me the videos, they sent me the pictures of things they did when we were trying to engage them. So this is the only thing really that the union has done on a technological level to reach out to the field. We more have been taking the approach that what we want to do is to see strength within the conferences and the departments and the churches to engage its own people. I wouldn't want to every Sabbath engage everybody around the union by creating some international program. If the program is not strong in the church, it is not strong. And whatever the union does on an international level will only be for a time. So what we have to do is to strengthen the local leadership. And that is done by training, and that is done by engagement of the local leaders. And hopefully we can also get together with the training some natural talent and ability in the persons that we choose. Because in some of these instances, you either have it or you don't have it. You can either deliver or you can't deliver, and no amount of training is going to produce that if the person does not have the giftedness and that goes along with that situation. That's how I feel about it. That's how I think about it. But for sure, I am thinking that there are people who want to engage doctrine, because some of them, even from Dominica, have contacted me and said, we need a program where we can talk doctrine, where we can talk about the theology of the church. I want to discuss the spiritual issues of the church. I want deep things. There are those who want that. Then there are those who want a concert. So we got to create the concerts for those who will listen to a concert. Then there are those who want to see a drama. So we got to create plays and put them online. And then there are those who just want a good sermon, not something that is cold and prepared on Friday night, something that is well structured and presented. So it has to be varied. And that's my answer in short, well and long, for the various things that I think are being required.
Thank you so much, Pastor Hall. I know it was a lot, but it's necessary because you see, these kind of programs that you're having, especially like now, these are once and for all. You're not having them too often, especially on True Talk, but the opportunity for the views and opinions, both from leadership and a different level of leadership, also give the young people an opportunity to see that, look, when we tell you that we can't meet this or we can't perform certain stuff, we are not telling you this because we want to lie to you, but we are telling you it because it's a real issue that we're dealing with and a real struggle that we're having. So young people viewing, yes, we might not meet their, attract them with all the fancy things tonight, but we know for sure other programs we can do so because we will organize to suit there. But tonight we are literally discussing on the level now whereby young people can notice that, look, we are having struggles, we're having problems. And something that I need to mention is that this yes, the youths may complain and say, yes, the leaders, but something that was mentioned in the last program we had is that both participants must want to be involved. The young people must want to be there, and also the older folks, because we know the dynamics between training young people. You must have the encouragement and the support and the teaching from the older persons, and then the younger persons will have to have the willingness to learn and to support as well. So quickly, this question, how now, we are here, we have St. Vincent, East Carib, and Trinidad. How can we bridge the gaps? Because I'm noticing like the Caribbean, everybody's in their own bubble. St. Vincent doing everything for St. Vincent and not catering for outside. Barbados and Dominica, the same thing. Dominica by itself, Barbados by itself. And divided we will fall, united we will stand. How can we, at this point, create something that we could bridge the gap? And that's one of the reasons why I brought so many leaders from different areas, so that we could see that it's easy to bridge a gap, by just bringing everybody together. So how can you guys give me some ideas so that we could hear as leaders, youth leaders at the church level, how we can bridge those gaps across the Caribbean to bring the Caribbean together with ideas, with events, activities, and all those things, so that we could produce better programs to attract our young people.
But let me speak to that, since I coordinate the Caribbean scene. What I would say is, when I meet with my youth directors from every island and country of the Caribbean Union, I encourage them to share their best practices with each other. In fact, in our reporting and discussions, they do get many ideas cross-culturally from one another. So there are things that are going on in St. Vincent that have been developed in Trinidad. Just bringing the youth directors to share transfers that multifaceted approach and cultural diversity that the directors themselves bring to the council that we are in. So from time to time, as they give reports as well, and I encourage them, share with each other. And then there are those times when a conference uses the director from another field to come in and conduct meetings and programs. I know, for example, that Pastor Denny, I'm not sure if it came off if COVID came and stopped that, or if it happened before COVID came, but I know earlier this year there was a plan for Gideon St. Bryce, for example, out of Trinidad to enter Dominica. Did that happen, Pastor Denny?
Unfortunately, it didn't, for multiple reasons. but we are hoping to get something like that sometime later down this year once COVID passes.
Good. And I know that Guyana has gone from time to time to North Carib Conference. People from North Carib Conference have gone into Guyana. So they can be the cross-cultural exchange among directors. I think beyond that, it can filter down to local youth leaders, area coordinators, and others who have ability and substance and talents. So there's no reason why Henrietta can't end up in St. Lucia or Dominica if she's a coordinator and an island-wide type person who has skills. But it would be for Pastor Denny perhaps to create a short list of such persons who can move to other fields and whom from other fields he can call on, because sometimes it's the same meal, but a different chef may serve it a little differently. And somebody with a slightly different accent may get access and response that somebody else doesn't get. So we can share people, we can share human resource as well as written, published documents and so on, ideas across the cultures. However, I would not want to see a situation in which we are doing so many international things, and I warned against this in my opening speech, because it does not make sense that we have excellent quality things coming from the union, coming from the division, at the higher levels, and it's not happening in Roseau. It's not happening in St. John's. It's not happening in Kingston. If it does not happen in the local church, we're wasting our time. And we cannot constantly prop up the local content by bringing in the big wigs. That is not what the church is about. We've been talking about total membership involvement, developing people, growing people. And if we are just simply content to bring in the smartest and the brightest from elsewhere so that our own people do not grow, all they do is to spectate and see good people, then we are not achieving the goals of youth ministry. That's my view on that.
Amen. And that's some serious views. Pastor Denny and Pastor Brent, would you like to add to that question as well?
Oh, sure. In my estimation, we have, our young people are more international than we give them credit for. A lot of us have friends in other conferences we would have made through camps, through going to university, and even without us being there, we have gone, or we know of persons who would have gone. So we already know what material is out there, what other persons are doing. It is not difficult in my mind, and it's not out of place to see something that's done creatively in another place and copy it or adapt it to your context and make it work for you. I think it was last year before, I discovered Kahoot through the house I was staying at. I think it was Brother Robinson. And I was staying with them and we did a Kahoot quiz. And I found it so innovative that I used it in the presentation I had the following day. And from that point, everyone just loves Kahoot in Barbados and Dominica. I mean, I happened to go to listen in on another AY program, and I heard that we have a Kahoots on church history. And I was like, wow, this thing is going places. And it's not hard to see something that's good and use it in your own area. Yes, as a department director, we can send out initiatives, we can give suggestions, we can make ourselves available to come in and participate. But beyond that, our youth leaders within our conferences and our union, we are creative, we are innovative, and you can see something online, you can view something that a friend has posted and find out information and see how you can make it fit to your context. Not everything that works in St. Vincent may work for Dominica, or not everything that was in Trinidad may work in Barbados. But if we are willing to be creative and innovative, I love it when I see youth leaders come to me and say, Pastor, I have this idea. What do you think? And you can just smooth it out and offer a couple suggestions just to make sure it runs smooth, and you run with it. It says that the leader is interested and invested in the youth of their local church. if you've been doing the IAD training that we sent out, that started this month for our local AY leaders, one of the presentations that really struck a nerve with me, not in a bad way, in a very good way, it was a reminder, and even more compelling, is that our youth don't necessarily leave the church at the conference level. They leave at the local church level. And the converse has to be true. Our youth don't stay in church at the conference level, they stay at the church level. What grounds a youth is what happens for them at that local church. If a local church disappoints or neglects or forsakes a youth, the chances of them coming back based on a conference program on a larger scale is lessened. If they are catered to at a local church level, if they are reached at that level, you can say all what you want about the church in the union, a church in the division, a GC, or even the local conference level. As long as they say, boy, the members in Eggleston love me, and I know that even if I mess up and I come back, they will take me back. That it speaks volumes more than what someone can do from the GC level. I'm not saying that those programs aren't important, but I want us to get to the reality that yes, we can pull things together from different islands, but we have to galvanize our efforts as a local church leaders, pastors, AY leaders, elders, Sabbath school, everybody. We have to galvanize our efforts to reach our youth where they are. Otherwise, you will have a youthless church, not in the future, in the present, because our youth, and forgive me if I want to twist your theme tonight, but the youth aren't the future of the church. The youth are part of this present church. And we have to do our best to get our youth to feel and know that they are part of the church, not just catered to by pulling them aside or planning a program that only caters to them and no one else. Our youth need to understand that, hey, their voice is important. I would tell a child who gets baptized, listen, as young as you are, you need to go to business meeting, because if your church decides the board comes and says, we want to paint the church blue, as a young person, as a 9-year-old or 7-year-old or 15-year-old, you can say, raise your hand and say, I object. I would like us to consider painting the church blue or green. That's your responsibility. That's your right as a baptized Seventh-day Adventist. And we must be able to get our youth to appreciate, hey, I am a part of the church, not just to be in uniform to go helping in gathering, or not just to be in uniform to get up and prepare for a crusade. I am part and parcel of what goes on in my church. And if we don't create that environment, we're in trouble. But that's just my 2 cents.
Yes, allow me to say as well, and Sean and everybody gathered here. You know, I said it to my president just the other day. We always boast about the organization of our church. The Seventh Adventist Church is so organized. We are so structured. We are so connected. We have the local church. We have missions, regions, whatever, conferences. Then go to union. Then from union we go to division, and from division we go to general conference. And we boast about our structure. But I've always believed that we do not maximize the benefit of having that structure. It's something, what this thing has shown me, this COVID-19 stuff has shown me, is that we've not been tapping into what is available to us. I remember one Sabbath, I was able to preach in London and Canada on the same Sabbath, early morning, afternoon. So you went and preached, because of the technology, you preach in 2 continents on one Sabbath morning, and so on. And I looked at it and I said to myself, but look at this. It took COVID-19 to show us that we can actually tap into so many different things that are available to us. And I believe, you see, sometimes our biggest strength can be our biggest weakness. And this is true talk. And I always say, I mean, I'm usually the controversial type, but that's okay. I believe we have a system in the church called reporting. And I believe what it does is that it limits us in a way that people want to know what you have done. And sometimes if you have not done it, they look at you like, why haven't you done it? But the good thing about being a leader, you should be able to galvanize resources together and work together. I called Pastor Denny, I think last weekend or a week and a half ago, to tell him about Kahoot. Tell me more about Kahoot, because when I was in Dominica for camp meeting, I saw it being used and I love the app and so on. And I believe it can be very influential, it can be very useful to us. So I told him, he gave me the website, we looked at it, what are the benefits and so on, did some research for me and so on. I believe this is what we have to understand. The president of our National Youth Association in St. Vincent, Jamali John, is an attorney at law. We have attorneys like Rene Joseph from Trinidad. We have so many attorneys in the Adventist Church. These are the kind of things we need to do. You know, galvanize our resources together. So different fields with different professionals can come together, and a local field can benefit from the knowledge and the wisdom of having all these people around. So I believe, and Pastor Hall is an attorney as well. I just believe what we need to do as a church is to spread our resources and use what is available to us. And unlike some of the other denominations who have one church organization and all the human resources need to come from that one church, I believe what we have in our favor as an Adventist church is that we have the whole world at our disposal, and finding the right people is very easy. And all that we have to do is facilitate that and get that organized. Pastor Hall has been doing an excellent job in terms of getting us directors acquainted and knowing what resources we have available to us in the Caribbean. But what I would love to see happen is that a cross-conference kind of something that we know. I can call Pastor Denny and say, Pastor Denny, do you have such and such a person in your conference, in your which church, that I can use them for a program in St. Vincent? I mean, and vice versa. I believe what that would do is that it will increase our skill base and our asset base, and we can have a stronger church and cater for young people. So I mean, that's what I would love to see going forward, that we capitalize more on the human resources that we have available to us across the Caribbean.
Thank you so much, Pastors. I know the AY leaders, the youth leaders who have been silent. Time flew. We have been here almost an hour already. But you see those things, that's what the program was intended for, to bring ideas from different levels so that we could implement it and impact even to the lowest level, the local level. You see that we need to establish a system whereby Sister Henrietta is going to do AY this weekend. Our team is rooted and grounded in Christ. So that's a team that we're planning to use for a whole quarter or for the rest of the year. And the team is so wide that we can move from Genesis to Revelation, seeing from redemption, talking about salvation, everything. But within that, what I want to see is that we will create a structure in such a way that the idea that Sister Henrietta have, that she can place it on a website or a chat room, and she can meet somebody in St. Vincent, in St. Lucia, in Jamaica, in Antigua. They too can share their ideas. So although yes, that it happening in Dominica, it can also happen in Barbados, in Trinidad, in St. Lucia, in Martinique. Everybody could have a piece, and they could get resources from these sites, or if we want to create a structure like that, so that everybody in the long run can benefit. It's not about my program and what I do, and it's my fame. No, it's not about that. It's about helping to develop across the board so that every individual can benefit. And now we are wrapping up. We're coming close to the end. Youth leaders, this is your chance to ask any question you would like to ask. You will not see Pastor Hall often to ask a question all the time. Same thing with Pastor Denny and Pastor Brent. So this is your opportunity to ask a question, if you have one, towards the director when it comes towards helping and developing your youth, if there's any. Just raise your hand and I will acknowledge you. No questions?
Yeah, I saw Brother John hand us up, and I'll go after him.
Brother John, yes, go right ahead.
Yes, very quickly. One question that I have, and it's a very serious question, so let's take it as serious as possible. One of the things that challenged me the most as a youth leader, because before I became the IRMAC president, I served at the district level and also at the local church level. And one of the things that disturbed me the most is the practice of other departments scheduling meetings during AY time. I don't think there's anything that ever discouraged me as a youth leader more than that. So we have several services at the church per week: Sunday night, Wednesday night, Sabbath morning, and AY time. And the personal ministries director would never go up on the platform and announce that we're having a personal ministries meeting during Wednesday night service. It would never happen. No other departmental head would call a meeting during Sunday night or on Sabbath morning while church is ongoing. But I am aware that throughout St. Vincent and the Grenadines and throughout the Caribbean, because I've heard other young people, other youth leaders from other countries complain about this, that elders, other departments, they schedule meetings during AY time. And I remember vividly, there was one particular Sabbath I was taking up AY, and the way my church is set up, the pastor's office is to the back of the church, and there's a glass window so you could see inside and outside, wherever you are. And I had to stand up and have an AY program, and there's a meeting going on right in front of me because I could see the meeting going on. And you as a youth leader, you're trying to get as much engagement as possible, and you want people to come back to AY, but other leaders in the church are taking people away from the AY program to have them in a meeting. And the meeting, sometimes they say, oh, we're going to have the meeting at 3 o'clock before AY. But of course, meetings never start on time. They always go longer than we think they would go. And so 5 after 5, the meeting is still going on. And I have raised my voice against this, and it stopped for a while. Earlier this year, because I'm also an elder at my church, we're doing our schedule, trying to put together a schedule for visitation, because elders are supposed to be doing the visitation, visiting members and visiting members in the community. And they were looking for a time that is convenient for all of the elders so that we could go out into the community and do a visitation. And sure enough, the time that they decided on was Sabbath afternoon. And I asked them, why is it that you figure that is an appropriate time? Because there is a service of the church that is going on at that time, and it is not appropriate for elders to go visiting during AY time, because they would never schedule visitation during another service of the church. And I want Pastor Hall to tell me, why is there not a universal policy against that practice? Because it is disrespectful, and it sends a very wrong message to our young people that we are not concerned about them, that we have very little regard for them, and it needs to stop. So that is one. Secondly, as it relates to bridging...
Elder John, you want to give Pastor Hall a chance to respond to the first one, and then you keep the second one?
No problem.
This gentleman is a lawyer. He asks a lot of hard questions. So let me see if I can answer him. Well, to begin with, I would want to say, over the years, right? I'm old enough to remember when Adventist Youth Society was not called Adventist Youth Society. It was called Missionary Volunteers and various other things. But I think that part of the naming, part of the philosophy that we ourselves push, lend that disrespect that we get from other departments. Because very often you will hear young people saying, this is the young people's program. Now, it's true, it's the young people's program, but there is a divide in the church, a generation gap. And the older set of people, including church leaders, do not really believe that what goes on Sabbath afternoon is for them. They attend, it's a token type response. It really is for the young people. And we promote it and put ages to it. We tell people that AY is from 16 to 35. And therefore, people who are not in that catchment area feel, how to put it, impotent to disrespect us because we have created the divide by stating those things. All right, that's number one. I think it's inherent in our system that we create those problems for ourselves. Now, having said that, Jamali, your question is why isn't there a more universal type policy? There is. There is a clear understanding throughout the church system that you should not conduct services during other service time. But people continue to disrespect AY because they don't value it. That's the answer. They don't value it for us. So pastoral leadership has to be strong. And those things will not happen where you have a strong pastor who is given to supporting the youth ministry and who will not allow his church trample, as God says, their feet on the Sabbath, on the youth ministries program. It is a leadership problem. And again, no amount of paper writing that I send from a union will solve that problem because it has to happen in Roseau with the pastor who is in charge of the church. And I think conference presidents and conference leadership have to insist, if they are of that mind, that local church pastors do not do these things and guide their members in that direction. So this is why I keep saying, we can write the policies, we can have the paper documents, it can be the standard. But if the police don't enforce it, and I know that's language you understand, nowhere with it. So as much as there's a curfew, arrest some people, lock them up. Otherwise, nobody will respect it.
Thank you so much, Pastor. So you're saying to us that the pastor have the authority to tell some of the elders, because let me tell you, some of the elders just won't tell you.
Who else has the authority? The pastor and the board make the decisions, and those things are written in manuals. They're not to be reinvented. They are in books, in literature, that this is to happen and that is to happen. So the local pastor must insist with his board, these things are not to happen. If that doesn't happen, you're going to get the disrespect all the time.
All right, I see two hands. I see Elder Drayson and Elder Barry. So Brother John, go ahead. You had one more question. Go ahead.
It was more of a suggestion than a question. I heard Pastor Hall earlier say that because he's at the union, you know, he's further away. And so it's those on the ground who are in the trenches. Those were his words. And having served as a AY leader for a local church, and even as a days president and now as a national president, even for me, I know that at this national level, I am not as engaged as I would be as a AY leader at a local church, because when you're the AY leader at a church, you have to be there all the time. Even if you're not scheduled, you have to ensure that you are always there so that if anything, you have to step up, fill in the gap. But at the national level, you know, you have your programs to execute, and it's not as frequent, it's not as rigorous as the every Sabbath, like the local church AY leader. And so you are, I believe the higher up you are in any organization, the further away you are from the people who you are serving. And so the people who are on the ground have greater insight. And so I'm not bashing the youth directors, because I know at the Caribbean Union level, you have, you know, the youth directors from across the union would come together and they would sit down and they would bounce off ideas. And I mean, I'm not saying that they're not the ones doing the work. They do hard work, but they're in the office most of the time, right? It's the youth leaders who are on the ground who are aware of what the challenges are. And for example, last year for Bible Connection, the representative from St. Vincent who came third at the union finals came from Central Leeward District. And when we met as a council, I had the president for the Central Leeward District share with the other days presidents, how did you guys go about preparing your candidates for the mission finals? And she outlined a strategy. They had this thing well calculated. And so it was no surprise to us, based on the strategy that she had outlined, that candidate would win the mission finals and go on to the Caribbean Union finals to do exceptionally well. And by that same token, I think there is some scope for national youth leaders on the ground to have a retreat in the same we would have retreats here in St. Vincent where we have all the youth leaders across the island come together for a weekend. It's not a camp where anybody could just show up. It's a retreat that is specifically for area leaders where we come, where we review what we are doing, we outline the plans, and we bounce ideas off each other. We find out, because one church might be strong in one particular area, another church is weak, and that area leader from that church can share tips with another area leader as to how they're going about getting past certain challenges. And I want to suggest that instead of just having the youth directors alone coming together, that there's some scope to bring at least one representative from the regular youth leaders together as well for maybe a retreat or something or the other, so we could share ideas, with each other. That's just a suggestion.
Point is taken. I can take that point easily. No argument there. The challenge with finance and the appropriate time to have it. But yes, it makes sense. I accept it.
Okay.
Thank you. So I'll address and go right ahead your question, and then we will take Sister Henrietta and also Elder Barry, and then we will start to wrap.
You should allow Barry to go. I think he was first.
All right. Go Kendall.
Oh yeah, yeah. The question I had, brother John, basically, concern is my concern. But the question I have is to those who are, I would say, older, like Pastor Hall, maybe Elder Brown. How can young persons facing these challenges, how can they rise above those challenges, where that they have these programs, the pastors don't attend, or the elders don't attend, as Elder John said, that they go visiting. Now we know young persons depend a lot on support. And then when they spend weeks planning a program, and then in the morning church is filled, but in the afternoon it's barely a handful. Everybody can sit maybe on 2-3 benches. Then how can those young persons rise above that? That is the first question. Now the other question is, if as Pastor Hall said, that there is a right way to do things, and there is the pastors and the leaders. But then if the young persons are meeting that wall, the very support system is the wall. The question I'm asking maybe to Pastor Denny and to Pastor Hall, maybe Elder Brown or Brent St.Jean, then how can those young persons rise above that? Or is it that we just have to accept that because the support system, that the wall that is there, the elders and the pastors, who we're expected to support, is the very wall? Is it that we just accept that that is just it, or is there a way to rise above that? What advice would you give to the young persons to rise above that particular challenge?
Is a question for me?
Well,
Elder Denny or Pastor?
You and Elder Brown or Pastor Brent, or even
anybody.
Pastor, anybody. Or Pastor Hall,
I'll give somebody else the first bite of the cherry.
Okay.
Anybody.
I'll try and take the first bite, and hopefully let someone else get the better chunk. My teeth are small. I can speak for when I was a pastor. It really boils down to, well, one of the things it boils down to is, as Pastor Hall rightly said, leadership. You have to get your leaders to understand and appreciate that, hey, AY service is important. And I think what helps, along with training, is reading. Church manual, youth ministries handbooks, they will let you know, for example, your AY executive committee is more than just your AY leaders, your AY secretaries. Really, your AY committee is practically a mini church board. You have personal ministries director, you have your elder, if not your first elder as a part of it. You have so many persons who are part of that committee, and if they are able to meet regularly, you already have buy-in of a significant chunk of the leadership to be able to say, hey, well, yes, you may want to do visitation then, but we have a program coming up. How can we negotiate? How can we work our way around that? It may come to a point where we'll have to say, okay, if we can start AY half an hour later to accommodate the elders going out and visit, whether it's shutting communion or whether it is to do some outreach. And then at the end, we meet at 4:30, elders and young people or the rest of the membership, and we have AY service. But to just lift our hands and say, well, we can do nothing else is very defeatist, and not saying that that if a young person doesn't want to stand up or whatever the case is, that it's their fault or anything, but we have to find ways to get buy-in from those above. And it is disappointing when many leaders who are meant to be in favor of youth ministries or of the youth of the church, or who will openly say, well, we believe in our youth, are the same ones who are pushing back or demonstrating that the youth aren't catered for in terms of attendance at AY. It is sad when you come to AY and you only have young people there, and you want the older persons, you want your pastors, you want your elders to participate. But then sometimes, and the flip side of that is this, I guess because of the culture that we're now in, or what the culture we've created, that we've said AY is for young people. So we want to plan it and we want it to cater to us. So one hand says, I don't want the older persons to come because they will cramp our style. This is our program. The other side is, well, okay, we still want the numbers. We still want your support. And some persons just don't care to come. If we saw AY as we would see Sabbath school, where everyone comes out, as midday hour when everyone comes out, I guess a difference could be made. But for my suggestion, your AY committee, your AY executive committee alone has a great number of persons, if well utilized, can sell your program without you even selling it out.
Thank you. Go ahead, Elder. Ask your question. I hope that answer, Elder Barry.
Well, if I can say, yes, permit me to say a little on this. Barry seems to have a concern pertaining to a wall that was erected. And so the young people, basically, or the youth, have difficulties. Now, the thing that just came to my mind is that I don't think there's any young people or person in the Seventh Adventist Church, which is our organization, that is capable of erecting that wall. That wall was placed there by somebody. And the young people, they're actually trying to get either through it or over it. And there's where the difficulty is. The persons who put the wall there are the same persons who are leading them. That definitely speak about us. Now, one of the suggestions I would like to give our leaders is that sometimes we feel as though that our method and our strategies are those that are winning the interests of our young people, when truth and in fact they are not. So one of the suggestions I want to give is that the leaders, I think it's time for us to do more self-reflection. We need to do more evaluation and assessment of ourselves. We need to know where we are at. We need to know how we are channeling whatever we are channeling to these young people. Because the truth be told, my boy, the young people cannot be the child and the father. And God gave us a mandate, and our mandate is to lead. And if we are leading them, we have to ensure that we are doing everything possible to lead our young people. There is a fear in our church, and the fear is the young people, they are growing to take over. That is our fear. And if we don't get rid of that fear, the wall is going to always be there. One of the things I tell young people here in Trinidad, nothing can change principle. Principle is always principle. Our doctrines create our principle. But what we can do, we can strategize ways in which they can understand the doctrine, understand the principle. Here brings something called creativity. You understand? These are ways we can get rid of the wall. And as an educator, as Pastor Hall hit it a little, as an educator, a lot of us learn differently. When all of us learn differently. And we know about the Howard Gardner 8 intelligences. Persons get things differently. I was a failure in primary school. You know why? Because my teacher came every single day, stood up by the door, by the door where the board was, like she never even wanted to be in this school. And she taught by just talking, and I could not understand because my learning style is visual. I must be able to see what you're telling me in a different way. So we need to teach and preach the gospel by using the 8 intelligences. Sometimes we have to go in nature. Sometimes we have to do something visually that will be attractive to them. Sometimes we have to do something musically. That's why we can only win some people to church on a special song and not a sermon. People learn differently. And until we understand that, the wall is going to always be there. And another suggestion, because I'm not sure I'm going to talk again for the rest of the night. Another suggestion, let me just give all one time. Another suggestion is that we need to do a spiritual gift inventory. Because one of the things I've learned is that your spiritual gift is your strength, and you get it after baptism. When I am baptized, God blessed me with this thing. It means God is telling me you have an extra edge over somebody else who does not have that type of gift. After you would have done a spiritual gift inventory, then you push young people in that area. Not everybody can give a speech. We should not push everybody to give a speech. And that is the creativity about our organization. If that was done, then I can see, Sean, that would have been a good way to bridge what we are doing online, because we would have been able to know now, John is good in this, Tom is great in that, Sheila is good in this, and if I go to St. Vincent, I ask the youth leader, classify your people for me, and then I could just merge them one time, and you will get something like they were always doing this thing together. So that is something that we can work on. And the next thing, my boy, I'm coming to the end. We need to create what I am now putting in my mind called a backbone initiative. And the backbone initiative is, if you look at your body, you know where your backbone is located. It's never in front of your stomach. It's always to the back. So the elders can become that backbone. Put the young people in front. While you put them in front, you become the platform. They stand on you. So you guiding them. So what is happening is that when it comes to doctrine, when it comes to our belief system, you are there to ensure that as the young people lead the way, that you are there to keep them principle-based so that they don't stray from the doctrine. So that is what we need to do, and take away the fear about they are taking over. The young people will only take over if we are dead, because they want to be guided and they want to be led. And the last point, Mr. Moderator, is the sweetest point, and it's the point that all of us just overlook. Sorry, I just love the passion sometimes. It's the point that all of us just overlook. You know, sometimes we go and we read all kind of books, we ask all kind of persons, what are the strategies in reaching our young people, in ensuring that they've developed a love for Christ, when God already gave us the strategy long time in his act on earth. There is a writer that says that Jesus' method and his method alone. We don't need anything else, but Jesus did is mingle with them. He win their confidence, and after winning their confidence, you bid them to follow you. And if you permit me to share this, I remember one time in the dormitory in Cedar Hall, the dean had serious problems with some guys. They were not coming to worship. They were not going to church services. They were not coming to Dean's night. And the dean was on the brink of what is going to happen? What is going on? I heard talks of even getting rid of them out of the dorm. And I said to them, listen, give me some time. Let me do something and see if I can win them. I took my tuition money. I went down the road. I bought a fridge. I bought a microwave. I bought a little toaster, and I bought extra peanut butter and bread and juice. And let me tell you something. Every Friday night, I invited those guys in my room and we ate supper. I never started out talking about Bible. I never had sundown worship. That was like Egypt to them. I never give them those things. What I did, I fed them. We talk about family. We talk about life. One Friday night, a guy came to me and said to me, Jason, you know, I think if you come here, we should study the quarterly. You have to mingle with them, win their interest, and then you can tell them, follow Jesus. That's how the wall will be broken. If you don't do that, Brother Kendall, we will never get rid of that wall. It doesn't matter what we try. Thank you.
Mr.
Sean, can I say
Moderator,
something?
if I, oh, sorry, just let me go ahead, Brent, and I'll get off quickly. If it's here, right, I would like to subscribe to and endorse all that has been shared by Pastor Denny on the issue. Brother Barry, this is what I want to say, right? My weakness is frankness, and over the years I've gotten in a lot of trouble for saying exactly what I think. All right, and I've not been able to I've not been able to shake that bad habit yet. So I think I'm gonna get in trouble tonight as well. Let me say this, right? A lot of the problems that we have, that you have identified, stem from a lack of pastoral leadership. Now, there's not easy way to say that. Pastoral leadership is lacking, which then allows the types of problems you identify to creep into the church. There's no way that the structures that we have set up to nurture young people, the boards, the counselors, the eldership, and eldership should be assigned to AY and so on, should turn around and work against it. That's self-defeating. That's shooting the wounded. And I believe a lot of it happens because we have people in positions, including ministerial positions and eldership positions, who do not have hearts for the young people. I'm sorry, but that's the reality.
True talk.
And let me go a step further, right? You can't make people love anybody. You can't command the love. Love has to find its own way. But I do believe that pastors are doing a job and that they are paid to do a job and that they should be held accountable for doing that job. If you had a secretary, she's not typing letters, not answering the phone, not sending out mail, not making appointments, what do?
Go home.
Well,
Write a letter.
I didn't say anything about that. That's what you said. But the reality is that even if people do not like something, they have to do it, if for no other reason than that it's their job. That's how I see it. I think I'm done for the night too.
Thank you, Pastor Hall. Pastor Brent, and then Sister Henrietta, and we're going to wrap up. We have gone totally over the time, but that's all right. It's True Talk. Sometimes we just break the rules for the just to help the young people. So let's go for it. Pastor Brent, go right ahead, and then Sister Henrietta.
Yeah, let me say this quickly. What the problem we have in the church is simple. If you check in, a youth pastor or good youth leader is always seen as being controversial. Check it out. The most youthful pastor is usually being seen as the controversial one. It's always the case, because the church is somehow afraid of youthfulness, of youth. It's like, and I always tell people, you know, I like cars and I like sports cars, racing cars, powerful cars. And I always say, young people are like a turbocharged car. You know, it can get you places, it can scratch off the road, it can do great things that you never think. What is important is the driver behind the wheel. Someone who is responsible to guide that car and make sure it doesn't go up and mash up itself. And it's the same thing. What we've seen in the church today, and sometimes when you're frank, you get licks for it, and maybe I'll get licks for this statement, but that's okay. I mean, as a youth leader, I mean, I'm accustomed to it. What I've seen in the church is that your best pastors who are seen in the organization, the best organization pastors, those who are loved by the organization, seem to be those who are less youth oriented. Don't get me wrong, so I have to qualify that statement completely before I find myself in trouble. Because the organization puts trainings on Sabbath afternoon. A good pastor will show up. Elders want to have meetings and board meetings and so on. A good pastor for them will show up to these meetings. A bad pastor to them would be a pastor who says, you know what, no meeting this evening, we have to meet another time, it's AY time. No, they will be loved by the young people, but they will be seen as by the organization as, boy, this man is a troublemaker, this man is going according to the organization and so on and so forth. And I've seen it in my ministry. All through the years I've been a pastor, since 2007. I've always clashed with elders. I've always clashed with the organization, because when you put your young people first, sometimes it means fighting against a scheduled meeting at AY time, fighting against the elders for having meetings and so on. And I believe, like Pastor Hall said, what is needed are pastors who put the young people as a priority. Have you ever seen a district on fire with young people like crazy, man? Club work going good, AY programs happening and so on. And another pastor changes, and that same district, you wonder what happened to that district? No, because it's the same district, same young people, same leaders, but different. It's because the young people are no longer priority to that pastor. And I believe the organization has made it okay for a pastor to be a good pastor and still forget young people. You can be a good pastor for the organization and not pay close attention to young people. That's a fact. That is why many of our pastors are not youth-oriented, because the organization has made it look like it is okay for you to be a good pastor and still not be youth-oriented. The day our organization makes pastors know that you cannot be a good pastor unless you cater for your young people. You cannot be a good pastor unless you minister to your young people effectively. You cannot be a good pastor unless you have a district youth association in your district. You cannot be a good pastor unless you attend your AY programs and make sure that the young people are catered for. Then we'll have a stronger AY society. But our church makes it look like it is okay, a pastor can still be a good pastor and forget about his young people. He cannot be a good pastor if he does not do stewardship. He cannot be a good pastor if he does not do board meetings and so on and so forth. But you can still be considered a good pastor if you don't go to AY service. And I believe that has to stop. And that would be the beginning, when pastors are held accountable and let them know you cannot be a good pastor until you minister to the young people effectively.
Thank you so much, Elder Brent, Pastor Brent, sorry. Sister Henrietta, and last words, and then we wrap up and we will call it well done. Go right ahead, Sister Henrietta.
I must say, it really breaks my heart to hear that certain struggles that